Welcome to the show, Sports Hip Hop with DJ Mad Max. We have Kool Keith, the hip hop legend and icon, joining me here with Marc live, as you already know. Sports Hip Hop with DJ Mad Max, Light 65, iHop Radio. How's it going, guys? Welcome to the show. How's everything going?
Yeah, good. Thanks for having us. We in the building.
Of course. Yeah, you already know. Shout out to you, Keith, and I appreciate being able to reconnect with you after all these years and doing an interview. Just when I was a rookie at St. John's University and me trying to keep pushing what you got forward as well as the real hip-hop and just learn about Marc Live's history. And we're going to get all into it, but congratulations on the release of Black Elvis 2. This is the sequel to the classic, the iconic album in 1999 that came out, Black Elvis 2. But how are you guys feeling about it, the feedback, and just finally getting it out there and released?
I think the Black Elvis 2 is, it's so dynamic. We had put it together. It came out just perfect. A lot of nice people came to the table on it. When we put it together, it was just what we had. And, it was just great the way it panned out. We worked on it for about a month. And there you have Black Elvis 2.
Yeah, no, it was good. To get back and put the second sequel together. People was waiting on it for a lot of years, and the timing wasn't right, but then timing was right, and me and Keith just came together, and we have a good chemistry when we produce together. Like we produced like Claiborne Family, KHM together, a lot of the group albums, so we have a really good chemistry how we make beats together. And we just said, Keith's like, hey, Marc, let's put it together again. And we got some cool features. And Ice is an analog brother, so he's always, a part of what we do. And, it's great that people are responding to it the way they are. It's really good.
The formula, as you went in on it, and I had to really go back and do my research, because when your verse came in, you were going in, and I did my research on you with your album Validation and working with 50 Cent, which I'll get into in a little bit. But when you came on, I was like, is this Styles P? I had to double check, because I went back and did my research on you, and you have a whole body of work and just doing production work. And I even read online, I want you to fact check this. Am I correct? Are you and Kool Keith cousins?
Yeah.
Okay. You guys are cousins.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. I knew Marc for a long time, so for a long, long time. And Marc moved to LA. His father came to New York with my father and stuff. They were dancing together. And
Keith used to dance at when I was like 3 years old. Keith would dance, Keith would come and dance at the birthday parties and dance for everybody. And, so it's funny because when me and Keith, when Keith got big out in LA and then we came back to New York to do the tours, like Keith would have everybody in his mom's house. And then, guys would go through the photo album and see me sitting on his dad's lap at 2 years old. Like, damn, Marc, this is my cousin, this is my family. So, but we don't talk about it a lot. It's just kind of like, we just, we have Keith has his illustrious career, and he started my group Raw Breed and put me on. So, so it's kind of like people who know.
Mm-hmm. And especially being under Ice-T, learned about that history, and you being the creator and consultant producer on Ice Loves Coco.
Yeah. I was like, I was in New York, and a friend of mine that me and Keith both know that used to work with Shawn Miles, he called me and said, I got a show concept, and I'm trying to get to Ice and Coco. And I was like, yeah, look, we put the stuff together, and then I came up with the I Love Lucy concept, for E, and they greenlit it. It was great. It was a nice 3 years, it was different, doing TV and shit, as opposed to music, but it was a nice experience for sure.
Definitely a breath of fresh air aside from the Kardashians, and thank God that they're off the air. But when we really look at just your history and you guys, because with Kool Keith and even him telling me doing your research on it, and you producing for the original album, Keith, now what was the issue for people who don't know? Because I read all about it. It wasn't there was the promotion side of things. What was the issue that Sony was really holding holding back the original Black Elvis? Why didn't they let you drop it? Because I know you criticized the fact that you weren't getting enough promotion, but why were they holding it back?
Well, the album was, that's when I made Dr. Doom, but, the album was just on hold, and it was like going through a lot of politics. Everything was finished, and, we had went to Philly, finished it, and I just got impatient with the release, and there was a whole lot of stuff going on behind it, and then Puffy wanted to sign me with, with a group, that was the time when all that stuff was going on with the back and forth with Tupac and Puffy, and my stuff was like just going in the middle of that stuff. So the Elvis stuff was there, held up. And, we were just getting too much other kind of feedback. So I was like kind of upset. I was kind of impatient of the album being put on the shelves, and Sony didn't probably know what they was doing, and they was trying to figure out was the urban department gonna mess with this record, or was it gonna be alternative or rock. But when I originally did the project, it was supposed to be urban. It was like where I had it marketed, but when they saw the cover, they took it to another, they took it into more like a rock alternative. So I didn't intentionally have to go that way. I wanted to be supposed to be urban, like a Afro-American rock star. That was basically.
You guys are talking to the Max from the Maximum. I love that record. The whole album bumps. I've tested it out, whether it was just in my studio here, in the car. The production and just the lyrics on this album, immaculate, second to none. It really is unbelievable. Black Presley, I appreciate all the sports references. And Keith, did you ever get that outfit? I remember when we talked last time, you wanted to get this outfit together where you had all these teams, Chiefs wristband, Jets and Giants sneakers. Did you ever get this outfit incorporated? Because you are one of the first people to ever wear jerseys in hip hop.
Not really. I just did a record one time. Everybody got little records they make with different little slogans or concepts. But me, I figured I'd do a record with all the football teams. And it was based around, a girl, and it was like what all the teams do for this girl. It was like one girl, and I put all the football teams in a coordination of what they do for the girl. Like every team, in the NFL does something for this girl. And that was the idea of the record. Like team, the NFL supports this one chick, and whatever each team did was for the girl, which is in a true way nowadays, but I kind of exaggerated. Maybe a girl today go with just maybe a player on a team or something, but I had used like I did a more of a magnifying version of like the whole NFL going with this one chick.
Yeah, no, I could tell the Jets made you look pretty. I think I appreciate that reference as being a huge Jets fan.
Right, the Jets made you look pretty, whatever, was so on to with each other, whatever team, one of the teams took a shot and gave her money, one of the daddy, one of the, they did all kinds of details. The NFL took care of it.
Kindergarten adults.
It has a two-way. A woman could take it, logically different, and a woman could take it personally. Like, he's making it look like the NFL. I'm one NFL. I'm just a girl that's I'm a slut to the NFL. It's not like that. It was more kind of classy. Like a lot of women probably don't realize that you got women that don't even date a regular guy anymore. So they talk to different athletes, but I used it in a team form. So girls might talk to a guy that plays the Jets and a guy that plays the Buccaneers at the same time. But that is exaggerating, but I kind of more exaggerated it in a mega form for the record, though. So I gave people like a big picture more than a smaller picture. like she goes with teens for whatever reason.
You definitely gave us that picture. Go check that out. Black Presley, one of my favorites on there. But I want to get into kindergarten adults, because hearing the backstory about this, you were supposed to be performing with Said G, and you had to come up with the playlist on your own, and you ended up going to perform Sex Style on the stage, and apparently there was kids in the audience, and adults were trying to boo you, and people were trying to give you the backlash here. But it is very hypocritical, because nowadays the message in hip-hop basically is it's all vulgar, and that, but that's all there is to it. Where you had your own style with Sex Style, everything today, it's all, especially with this new artist that's out now, Sexy Red. I mean, unbelievable. I saw that freestyle go crazy, but it's kind of hypocritical for them to go after you.
Yeah, well, that was the thing. Like you said, it was during the time of COVID, and it was like Orchard Beach, and I had to get a show real quick because it was like 10 minutes before showtime. So I'm in the parking lot bringing up the show together. Sad just got last minute kicked out because he had an argument with security about he don't want to take the swab and this and that, and he don't have his test, his certificate shows his shot, whatever. So I'm left to go do a show at the last minute, and he cats out, and whatever drops out, we can't get in security, got beef with him. So Sex Style ended up in the show Marc CD. I do Sex Style all the time, no problem. I did it that day, and then there was some people in the audience in front. It was like a couple ladies looking kind of like abstract looking women in the front, like they had earrings in their nose and piercings and stuff. So they started, acting like they never heard a curse record in their life. So I didn't know the kids was there, looking like full grown people to me. So, but all day long, I took it in my own hands, and everybody was there about it, and then it was just seeming like, okay, got enough everybody's cursing all about the world right now, like saying all kinds of records, booty this or booty that. But I did Sex Style, it was a problem. And then for everybody to be adults, they're like they never heard of it, even though I recognized later that children was there. But I'm just looking at it like, just through that whole day, I tolerated the unintelligent rap and the low tech rap of, just the preschool rap and, Cat, Nat, and Hat and, all that stuff. I tolerated that. I didn't say nothing, So I got kind of pissed off. I was like, okay, we could dumb ourselves down and listen to all this stuff and as adults, and nobody recognized, we listening to like ABC rap, Sesame Street, and I come up there and do an intricate curse record talking about a couple of things and stuff, Sex Style. And I got a lot of feedback, so I got mad and made that record. Like, it was fun, but I got it off my chest. Like to say, okay, y'all want to say something about me cursing, but look at the kindergarten stuff that we should just take a break from. You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm. No, I get it.
It was like a lot of people up there from a slow, they rather hear all that, all the dumbed down rap, and then you say something, you want to say something. So I was like, I'm not going to listen to this all day either. Like, there's people that want you to listen to dumbed down ABC rap all day, and then when you do something intricate, they want to start trying to be funny. Like you said, there's people that curse all day. There's people that rappers that talk about their body parts all day long, and you make a record. It's like you the only guy that ever made that kind of record. So that's why I made that song.
No, it's perfect.
I felt like,
It's perfect.
I know when it came on, it probably bugged you out. Like a lot of people probably trip out on that record.
I laughed when I heard it, and even people online were saying how it just showed your side of the humor and just going at it, and it's very hypocritical, as I said before, and it was definitely something that needed to be addressed, and it's unfortunate that. But I think it's an issue going through a lot of with hip hop artists today is that they don't allow, especially what happened in this incident with you in that performance. It's almost certain radio stations, when we look at Hot 97, the mainstream radio stations, they don't showcase that you guys have grown over time. So they put you in that box where you guys haven't evolved, and you've evolved.
Yeah. Yeah, well, a lot of those events too. Some of those people are mad. It goes from artists to the people too. A lot of those people are mad that you evolve, and they get mad because you're not up there doing like if you can't rap, like if you don't sound like you're just stuck in 1973 rapping. They get mad if you sound even if you was in the 2000s, they get mad if you sound like you from 1999. They mad. So it's like if you up there and I say yo, and you don't blah blah blah. Then I got my hat and I put it on and I grab the bat. If you say something, they love you and all that, but then you come up there, even if you was a lyrical advanced rapper, they still. I don't care if you wasn't cursing. I still feel they got animosity towards that. They got animosity towards anybody that's a little advanced, and that's kind of wrong. So it's really they saying like, I'm gonna stay stuck in the box, and you ain't coming up there doing something for my only that match my capacity of intelligence. We gonna get mad, and that's what you have. A lot of the people around in that era are mad that you are advanced, which should be. Which should be a problem. Like, why are you mad because somebody else is advanced? Like, everybody, we all can, do the bebop, Scooby-Doo rap. We can't all do it. So somebody got to be advanced. Like, they want nobody to advance. They want everybody to be stuck in that one box. And like you said, they create that box and they try to create an error for it. And when somebody's trying to break that rule, they get upset. Like, they get upset. They say that everybody should stay in that time. I never was. I was in that time when I was dancing in school. Musically, I was in that time. Dancing-wise, I was in that time, but that was the time I wanted to get out of. So I think people are mad that they didn't make it out of that time. Some are still in that time. Some can't get out of that time. Some still playing records from that time. It's sad that nobody wants to uplift them and educate them, and you can't make new stuff. And like you said, even around in radio land, I think it's programming. I think the stations box some of those artists in a box, and they don't let nobody advance out that box.
No.
And if you do advance out that box, they're kind of upset or they mad.
Yeah. And it's only in hip hop. I've noticed that it's only in hip hop for some reason.
Yeah, well, artists like rock bands don't have they have a brand new rock band come out, but Metallica could still mix in the playlist. Korn could still be in there. Red Hot Chili Peppers. They have a brand new group come out tomorrow called the New Rock Band of the Century. They come out tomorrow. They're still in the lineup with the same, and it's not going to change. Rage Against the Machine, all the rock bands gonna put the new group in, mix with it all. They're gonna mix it like a pot of gumbo. They, rap is like they got formats for people, like certain levels. They separate the music. They separate the music. So you got a few stations that want to keep it on the same level, but everybody else separate the genres within rap.
They do. There's definitely different categories.
Yeah, so that's what that record is about too. So, and I hope it sticks. I hope it stays. Like I said, I think it was. People probably think I'm out of pocket for doing it, but at this many years in music, I've been making records. I don't care anymore. I made the record as a statement, because nobody would never speak up about that.
No, and that's why I salute you for doing it, and boohoo for everyone who doesn't like it. Who cares? All Marvel is another one of my favorite records on there. You got an action figure already out there for pre-order for Black Elvis. What's the update on a cereal? Because I remember hearing that back in the day you were talking with General Mills and these cereal companies about Kool Keith beans. Is there going to be a Black Elvis cereal? You considering getting back into that?
That might be a cereal. I'm looking for Kellogg's or General Mills, one of them, to do a Black Elvis cereal or something. That might be great. I'm looking at that as a one way. But I mean, like you said, the animation is different. I was the first artist probably doing action figures. A lot of artists didn't do action figures until I started doing them years before. I have a couple action figures.
Statues. You got a statue. Yep.
The statue, the Black Elvis statue. But a lot of groups didn't do that.
No. You need your own Pop Funko too.
Huh?
You need your own Pop Funko too.
Oh yeah. I mean, it's a lot of stuff, so I'm fortunate to evolve into different stuff, but we just happy that it all coincided together.
No, it did, and it goes perfectly with the product placement and just everything that you got going on. But Marc Live, I want you to really dive in here what it's like working with Keith behind the scenes, because I say it all the time that he's an icon, he's a genius, 58 alter egos and personalities. We've seen all the work that he's done, but what's it been to work up and close and personal with him in the studio when putting, specifically in this conversation, Black Elvis 2 together?
Well, like you have, like, I've worked with a lot of people, over the years. I work with, I do a lot of stuff with Ice-T over the years and a lot of different artists. Keith is, like you said, he's a genius, a master at his craft. I've never seen anybody as prolific as he is. Like, he's an expert at his craft. He's a magician. He's a master. He makes beats better. He can conceptualize a song on the spot. He taught me how to write on the spot. Like, one time we were on tour in Australia, and the guy said, "Hey, Keith, you want to come to the studio after the show?" He said, "Marc, let's go and check it out." Man, we did a whole album in one night. Like, we did a whole record in Australia after the show. Like, it was like 7 o'clock. And I'm like, wow. Like, he's like, "Look, Marc, put the drums up. I'll put the bass. Boom, one, boom." I'm like, wow. Like, this is like, I grew up all the time. Like, I get a beat from the producer. I take the beat home. I sit with it for a week. Ask my homie, does he like the verse? This, I started rapping in 93. So, but then I learned by working with Keith closely how he just gets right to it and is always prepared for whatever situation. And it's like I've done a lot of albums with Keith. Every time you do a record with Keith, it's another like experience, and you learn. And I'm being sincere. I'm not blowing smoke. Like, Keith's my cousin and everything, but like he deserves to be one of the great, like, when he's on all these greatest rappers of all time, 50th anniversary, he deserves to be on every list like he is, because he's definitely one of the greatest of all time. So it's a pleasure for me. Like, when he called me to do Black Elvis, I was geeked, because I'm like, I know it's going to be a good record. I know it's going to be a classic. So, yeah, I mean, everything you would think. And I want to disappoint people. Keith is not a crazy man. The man comes to the studio with donuts, orange juice, sober, professional. Like, he's first and last out the studio. He's Paul McCartney of rap. Like, it's no weirdness. There's no aliens in the studio. Like, it's literally cheeseburgers, French fries, orange juice, and work. And that's what it is. Like, you can't do what he does if you're not a professional. No. Like, I don't want to disappoint people. Like, Keith is crazy. He's in tape. No, he's just James Bond coming in with his attaché case with Ron's and Marc, what are we doing today? And we start early. We leave when the sun is still up. And that's what it is. It's just pro work. But if you're not a seasoned veteran, you can't really work with him. He's too fast. Like, he'll frustrate you with the speed of how he works, and the engineer got to be fast, and everybody's got to be at his certain level for the session to go good. Because I've been in sessions with Keith, and we're looking at each other like this is a nightmare. But we're so locked in working with each other for 20 years that, you know, it's just a pleasure. Like, I hope you recorded this because this is really the true assessment of how this man works. So.
No, it's recorded, it's documented, and it's going to be posted, and we're going to celebrate Kool Keith till the end of time here because you're right. When we bring up the top 50 discussions, he's got to be brought up more often, and he's really in a lane of his own, just like Tupac, Biggie's in his lane. But he kind of reminds me a lot of and I know he came after Kool Keith, but DMX, where DMX is never brought up in the top 10 discussions, and he should be, but he's kind of in a lane of his own. DMX lane of his own. Kool Keith is in a lane of his own. No one could touch him. That's it.
No.
Well, like you said, you know, you got a lot of rappers that they say were great and stuff like that, but some are great for what they did, but why are they great for what they have been doing lately? It's not. None of them. Some of them haven't been doing anything lately. So to me, it's a different kind of judgment. Like if you were great in the past and then you were still doing stuff great. You know, they don't have a lane to that type of quote. You know, it's just they talk about people that used to be great. It's still probably used to be great. How can somebody they haven't made a record after the time they would be created something that's different? You know, so you got. I think it's two different types of levels. Basically,
I agree.
Continuation, great.
The longevity, you know, my friend, like, I don't know if Kane could make a Long Live the Kane Part 2 today.
Yeah, no, I
don't know what that would sound like in 2023. Like, he sounds like he's 23.
He does.
Like, if you drop that album out, Black Elvis, in Oklahoma, and you gave a kid 3 joints, you closed the doors, put your headphones on, listen to this, and tell me how old this guy is. It was like, this guy's probably like 16. The shit is concepts and the way the record sounds sonically and how, like, it's just different. Like, see, I don't really, professionally, at this stage of the game, as long as it's different, as long as it's a piece of work, like, people call Black Elvis, Keith will tell you, people call Black Elvis 10 years later a classic. Like, we went through hell in the beginning with the record company. It's too different. But 10 years later, it's a classic. And I think the same thing with all of Keith's catalog. It's like ages with fine wine. Like, you can listen to the first Ultramagnetic record today, and it's still dope.
Critical Beatdown. Mm-hmm.
Yep.
Classic, the Four Horsemen. It ages like fine wine, like you said, and with all the label deal and issues that have happened in the past, and you know, Kool Keith, to me, you're like the hip hop's Prince, because with the logo, Prince had to try to finagle his way out of deals there in the industry, but you changing your personas. Has there been any of the younger artists that have reached out to you and hearing about your story and asked you for advice and how to figure out deals and trying to get out of them?
I think they watched a lot of them. They don't ask. I think a lot of people got pride nowadays. They don't really ask. But like you said, a lot of groups were probably inspired by a lot of stuff I did. You know, where this time in these people don't want to really reveal anything that make them feel like, I don't want Keith to know that. You know, because we've been a group that people have been scared to acknowledge our creative stuff and our inspiration. So a lot of people don't want to say stuff like that. You know, they want to keep that under the hat. You know, they feel like we might be arrogant or something. It's like, you know, people see us and go, I won't say nothing. He's probably arrogant about it, but I mean, most of the rappers that came over me, they always got maybe another rapper they was inspired by. But I never was inspired by another rapper. I was a rapper from my own self, looking at myself as a rapper. But I listened to, like, I grew up on Slave and Confunction and
James Brown.
I bought those records. Yeah, when I was small, I bought, I gave said Joe Cocker. I bought all those records. I just bought Mandrill. I bought a lot of Dad's Band. I bought a lot of all that stuff because I was dancing. I was listening to all those bands, Confunction, Barcades, Brass Construction. I didn't have a rapper to look up to, like, basically. I wasn't, a fan of a rapper. I was fan of rock, like funk bands. I wasn't into rock, and then I was fan of rock bands. Funk bands. I bought so much funk records because I was dancing. So my elements of me rubbing off the music and the sounds, from me making records and picking sounds, all came from funk inspiration. I didn't get nothing from no artist later or nothing like that. I didn't have anything to grab at, mostly funk records. I didn't have jazz. I didn't have a particular producer. I didn't have no artistic producer. I didn't even listen to, like Nile Rodgers and all that stuff, and Rick James and stuff. Maybe a little Rick James, but I had mostly funk bands. Like, I was a fan of Sty, all that, all the stuff like that group called Aura. I just listened to a lot. I grew up on a lot of that. I didn't have no artists to. So now, after the funk era, after Ohio Flats, Heat Waves, and all that, a lot of rappers looked up to me. So most of the average greatest MCs only got inspired by another rapper or something. You don't ever hear them say they was inspired by, like, all those different bands.
Yeah, and we see how influential you've been because you were the first to wear wigs, capes, and we've seen what the impact that you've had on this industry. And, just getting back to Black Elvis too, when you were rhyming, Keith, what actor from Star Wars did you envision buying your action figure?
I was into Darth Vader.
Vader.
Just the darkness of his stuff, like Darth Vader. So it was just, when you listen to certain records, and we did Spank Master and stuff like that, still got elements of sounds. They were different sounds, but all those records have different sounds on them. Like, all these sounds, but they still was kind of funky. Like, nothing kind of more in the range of Ron Carter or nothing like that. I never sampled Don Silvestri. I never was into all those artists from the CTI collection and nothing like that. I didn't go around the world to find the weirdest sample or something like that. I just didn't grow up in that era. My father collected all those kind of records I did, and that's what I grew up with, all that stuff. I didn't grow up with. I didn't have no rappers to listen to, basically.
I did want to bring up a record tonight. Oh, continue.
When Ultra came out with the big words, and then the only thing that was out was maybe like Special K and the Trenches 3, and that was that. But as far as me having a big realm of rappers to go by, that's why I didn't sound like anybody, because I didn't listen. A lot of these rappers had influences from other rappers. Like you say, you got rappers that listen to each other, but they start to sound like each other. So I didn't want to do that either. So that's what made me stay distinctive all the time. We didn't never lock ourselves into another rapper.
No.
We might listen to them to see the cadence or how different they are, but most of the rappers really took the voice and the whole way of the talking and the way, you got rappers today that start verses off with, like Jay-Z, they'll start a verse off like, They'll start a verse like Drake, and make the same sounds, and a lot of people, they didn't have their own identity.
No, and you have it. But I wanted to bring up a important record that really, you were ahead of your time with this one, with Sextile's Plastic World, because this talks about you going at you not wanting to do jazz beats, calling out the mafioso rap, you getting stressed, depressed, and going out to LA. Little Kool Keith's on my tour. So you got a lot out on that record, and I don't think people bring up that record as much as they should, because that's just you going at everything, the industry. That record's crazy.
Yeah.
Well, there's a lot of records people want to keep under their hat. Like I noticed in the world of music catalog, like Plastic World, I was talking about a lot of issues about, in New York is a different city when everybody was hot, everybody was around, like Marc and all that. When you didn't have a deal in New York, you didn't have a deal. Like when I got signed to Capitol, everybody that made the little New York beats and all the stuff, they was ready with beats, but they had local beats. When I went to California, I was like, I want to spread out my sound and make new stuff and make sex styles and other kind of bassline beats and other records of subject matters and stuff like that. New York was just standing in front of the project building with a pit bull, and they had the one sound. I wanted to expand, and so even with the catalog of everybody, from everything we ever done in our life musically, from the catalogs of the albums, there's a lot of stuff people swept under the rug. I mean, stuff from the Four Horsemen album, Funk Your Head Up. It's a lot of records from the Penicillin on Wax with Tim. It's just so many tracks, and everybody made all kinds of songs. People had disc records. Everybody, it's kind of a secret thing in the music business that people hated us. I was jealous of. They used to catch them. They couldn't do what we was doing, but they always copied what we was doing. Like, even, God bless the dead, even with, Peach Fuzz and Victor Vaughn and all that stuff, and all the stuff from all the way down the line to Future, to Missy Elliott, to Timbaland, to the Pharrell, the Neptunes, and all that. Just the creativity, and us leading, even the native tongues, even De La, Tribe Called Quest, all that. So I think people they needed so much stuff from us, but they could never acknowledge it. It was just like, I don't want to feel like I'm on this. The thing was with Ultra was like, I don't want to feel like I'm on this group shit. And I don't want to get on the awards and say something about it. I don't want to get on TV and say something about it. I don't want to get on no movie and say nothing about it. I don't want to, a lot of people just couldn't acknowledge it wherever they went, if they had to say thank you or special thing. They didn't. So we got immune to not looking for that acknowledgement. But people were just jealous of us, I guess. And a lot of people didn't take things real quite in the comfort zone. From all the records we lashed out, everybody had disc records. Everybody got over disc records. Some people made disc records. I mean, a lot of people was having disc records going at each other, and that was a part of the music industry back then, the competitive part about it. But I think a lot of people took our records like forever did. Like, Ultra made their records, and we made ours. It's over. We shake hands. You got other groups that made disc records about each other and soloists and going back and forth, and Mo D and all back and forth and this and Run DMC, this and all kinds of back and forth since the Roxanne and all that. But I'm just saying, KRS, the Bridges over, this and that. But I was just saying, with us and plucking cards and with Tim and the just all kinds of records and just us, and I think a lot of people, even with the Critical Beatdown cover, how we had the cover with the Adidas on the floor and stuff. You know, people took our humor personal for years. As you got grown men today that can't get over it. Like, okay, it was music. It was a part of music. It's like battle. It was supposed to be competitive, but they took it so personal. Like, a lot of groups got over it, and they still play those records, but they still had like, it's like when you look at the newspaper, you put that little green ink pen to show where you was reading that again. They put that over Ultra, like, this group, you gotta remember that they did a lot of shit that nobody could duplicate. They did a lot of disses. They did records. They answered people back. We was all around the board. Answer back, this, making distinctive beats, making new shit. Looking nice. Me and Said was never a bad looking group. Ultra, you wore clothes. You wore the Star Trek glasses, the Gucci stuff, the same stuff. A lot of people just was jealous of us at the same time liking us. At the same time, that was the hardest thing to do, to have everybody like you and they was jealous of you at the same time.
And the impact, the impact it has shown to this day when we have people like legends like Eminem, Kool Keith on the Monster, and then I know the whole story. You seeing Eminem in Tech's studio, he just came out and looked at you, didn't say anything, but I wonder if he remembers that moment of seeing you back then, and just because that's a legendary story.
I saw Eminem, but I never knew who he was. I was like, I didn't disrespect him or not. I just never knew who he was. He was there, and Money D came with me. He was talking to Money and telling him he got some stuff that he's coming out soon and all that. And he was at Tech's house, I think, just working on something. I think I went over there with Cutmaster Kurt to pick up something from Tech. I think Kurt went to take Tech something, some vinyl or something, or he went to pick up something. I rode with him. He's like, he went around me on the Techs and went in there, and this was quiet guy in there. He's walking around talking to Money. And I didn't say I was just there chilling quiet because I don't know who was who. And Eminem was there. And I looked at him. And he looked at me, he was like, he didn't talk to me. He was more kind of cool. He was looking more like, I'm not going to bother y'all. Y'all having a meeting or something. He went in the back room. He came out for a little quick minute sometimes. But you could tell, but he wasn't even blowing up Eminem at that moment. He was just there, like, looking. Like, he didn't look, he wasn't excited. He was just more looking like, I'm up here working on something. I'm waiting for my time to get ready to blow up or something. Like it wasn't even no direction of him blowing up. It was more like I'm okay, just working on my stuff. Hopefully, I get some shit to jump. It could have been a hit or miss. It could have been he was out there and he didn't have nothing. He just came out for a little while, make a record, and he went back to Detroit or something. But it worked for him. So. He came out there and became the biggest sensation. So I was like, that was a story to see. Eminem in his rare form. Like, no rapper would never probably see that. Like, Eminem in his prime time. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, no, it's unheard of. Yeah. I wanted to talk about the imaging because imaging plays a lot into hip hop and music as a whole, and just who Kool Keith is and Ultramagnetic is. When I interviewed Dapper Dan, we got into the albums that he designed, and he was styling for you.
Yeah. Say that again.
With Dapper Dan, he was styling for you, especially because everyone recognizes the outfits from the Critical Beatdown.
Dapper Dan made this stuff for Ultra, and the first stuff we was wearing, which was nice. We just had the clothes, but like you said, a lot of people was just more jealous of us because we didn't go out to every show and party. We just do our shows. We didn't come out to everything. Like, people was just jealous that we was different. Like, we threw a monkey wrench by making distinctive beats, We had a different dress code. I think what it was too, we didn't follow a lot of trends. We didn't fall into the trend of, I think a lot of people had a trend where they had like that certain element of rap, like whereas everybody was fell into either you was with De La Soul, Jungle Brothers, Tribe Called Quest, you know, what was the Peach what was their name?
KMD.
Zev Love X. What was it? KMD.
Yeah,
so
Zev Love X.
Not in that group. Yeah, they was in one element of they hang out together. Then it was, if you wasn't in the Slick Rick, Salt and Pepper, Eric B, Rakim, Public Enemy, and Houdini, LL, blah, blah. So everybody had a click. Def Jam had a click. We was kind of like neutral towards everything. I think that was a problem. We didn't have no sides. We wasn't in no teams. So a lot of people swarmed together with those entities. So we was like kind of an outcast. We was the original outcast, not the outcast from Atlanta. We was the original outcast. That's probably where Outkast originally got the name from.
Yeah, and you went by 4,000 back in the day.
Yeah, we was Outkast back in our time. We was Outkast. The original Outkast is, like you said, Outkast. You're not Incast. We was Outkast. So that's what happened. I think that we didn't have no. We didn't fall into an entity of a group of a roundabout group table. We didn't form into a group. You know, like Puffy had the Locks, Lil Kim, Biggie. You know, a lot of people had cliques. We never had a clique. It was just us, and maybe Said produced Tim. That was it, right? Right, Marc?
Yeah. Yeah.
It was just us and Tim, and Boogie Down Productions was like the trade-off that left us. But Scott, if he was living, he would have probably originally Ultramagnetic and Boogie Down Productions was supposed to be having a deal before Scott got killed. We was supposed to probably get a production deal. We were always going to be, our entity was KRS, me, Solo, Boogie Down Productions together, Ultramagnetic together, me, Solo, Tim, and then Said would have probably continued on producing like MF911, the X-Men, maybe Marc and whatever. It was, we never had, the Bronx never really had a clique. We only had two groups. We only had Ultra, Tim, and Boogie Down Productions, and Boogie Down Productions kind of went with Red Alert, and that was it. Like, I think we were the outcasts of the golden age, and Boogie Down Productions kind of lost direction after Scott LaRock got killed, and then KRS probably went his own way, and that was that. But I think a lot of people were just jealous of our independent power as a group, like for what we put on the table. From just, you know, a lot of those groups all had to do. They were together. They had to make it. They had to do it all together.
Mm.
We did it more by ourselves.
Yeah.
Yeah, you were independent, even though you did have these record labels with deals in here, but these deals didn't work out. So you were independent at the same time, even before, because you had to learn to press up your records. Over 500 records I was hearing early on here with Ego Tripping. So you guys were basically independent within the system, even when you had a deal.
Yeah, we were independent. We didn't have no. Only time we started getting into conglomerate support is when we signed with Uptown, and that was Heavy D, and that still wasn't us. That was Heavy D and
Eddie F.
That was you know, Finesse and Sequest, Eddie F, and Guy and all that. That still didn't match us. We still was an outcast. So I think a lot of people was just jealous of us because of the outcast. Like, that group doesn't belong to no cliche clique.
and that was that. And they were still powerful. So, and that carried a long way in our career too. We was never an outcast, and we didn't jump on nobody's shit. We didn't go to none of those other parties, all those cliche cliques. Stayed in their lane. We didn't, and that was it. And we stuck out amongst all those cliques too. Like, so, I think a lot of people were mad because we wasn't in stuff like that. Because I was dancing, then I switched to the group. So me and said we didn't have time to get with no clique really, because it happened on Ego Trip and blew up so fast that a lot of those groups had time to click up because they were all looking for deals together. They was all touring together. They was doing the Fresh Fest together. They was doing the Native Tongue together. And then they, when they all went in cahoots, they kind of went into separation. Like, if you wasn't with that, or you're not in that side, you're not in this side, it's like you was an outcast. So we were the original outcasts. And it brought certain feelings, because people like, they by themselves and they distinctive, they dress, they still, it was different because we didn't join in no cliques, and we didn't, how that looked. Ultramagnetic is in the Native Tongues, it wasn't like that. But we respected everybody, but I think it was a lot of that also. We never was clicked up.
No.
And clicking means you stick together forever. Like, okay, you're this forever. You're in the game forever. All right. They still are outcasts. Don't put them in that. Don't put them. They was always outcasts. Don't put them in that. Put whoever was down with us all from the beginning. Keep that going. It's like some personal shit. Very personal.
Especially with your song placement, because I hear your music in a lot of different TV. I heard your Make Up Your Mind in The Wire. I was in Hot Topic recently. It's been over a year since I've been there. I go there for my hip hop tees. Blue Flowers was played. So as far as all the icons and real hip hop legends in this game, you get the recognition in popular media, and just being out at the store. Blue Flowers. I couldn't even believe when I heard that at Hot Topic.
Yeah, well, you heard it in the movie.
Yeah, I heard it in The Wire.
In Hot Topic.
Yeah, Hot Topic, the store, like in the mall where they sell graphic. It's like a gothic. It's where gothic people go to shop. But I go there for my hip hop tees, and I heard Blue Flowers being played there.
Yeah. So, like you said, now you got a continuation for the last 30 years, 40 years. Of the same stuff, like all those, a lot of groups in the past continue with that same formula for shows. The world got kind of brainwashed with the same lineups. You know what I'm saying? It's nothing different. You're not going to see too much of a different lineup with, like, when would you see a show with Showbiz and AG, Ultramagnetic, Diamond D, KRS-One, Lord Tariq and Peter Guns, like just on that whole set by itself. You're not going to see that because they never let that happen. So it's like all around the world in that whole scenario, they program that same show. That same continuous show. Yeah. That's supposed to be same hip hop, the same shows, the same lineup. It's never been a different lineup at all. Like,
no.
Which is unfair to hip hop, because the world, I love the group. I love all the groups, but they're the same groups that perform everything everywhere. Same thing, same. You know what I'm saying? Like, rock bands don't do that. They switch it up. You see Metallica do a tour with, Red Hot Chili Peppers, switch up. They'll do Red Hot Chili Peppers, Metallica, and Green Day. And then somebody else would do Pearl Jam with maybe say Korn and maybe Dolly Parton is opening. They'll switch up something. They'll, with rap, it's the same lineup all the time, constantly the same lineup. Like they don't have no other lineup.
No, and you switched it up. It's something that's so complimentary with Black Elvis.
I mean, since the Fresh Fest, it's just been the same lineup. Like,
you're right.
It's the same lineup. Like, it's like a brainwashed lineup. Like, and it's sort of political, kind of like same lineup.
No, it is. And Marc, I wanted you to touch on this. And Marc, I wanted you to touch on this with Black Elvis too. Just staying, because this is why it's so important when you see that rappers will go out there and make a sequel to their classic albums. You stayed on point even with the tracks that were on the first Black Elvis, because Clifton's Revenge, this was the continuation from the first one.
Right. Yeah. Yeah, we tried to stay on theme, and like we were really cognizant of like what we did on Black Elvis, like sonically. So, and we just like, the machines are better, the sampling's better, the keyboards are better. So we just kind of like, it's like an updated version of the first one, and with a lot more of Keith, doing what he does best. But yeah, we were definitely cognizant of keeping the themes there and keeping the sequel theme. And I love the artwork that they did. Oh, it's incredible. Like, I was like, how the fuck did they find the same grid as the first album cover? Like, I don't know where the label did, but that was the artwork, is great for this album. So, everything is kind of on par for me.
It ages, and even just revisiting the original Black Elvis, because my favorite track on the first one's I Don't Play, and just analyze me through my records like a Michael Jackson. Keith, you saw Michael Jackson at an IHOP, I heard, and he was there with his 4 bodyguards. I was doing my research. You saw Michael Jackson out in LA at an IHOP.
Yeah. I saw Michael Jackson and standing right on iHop on Santa Monica. I remember me, Bobito, and Stretch Armstrong and Cut Master Kurt went in the IHOP to eat, and we were sitting down, getting ready to order some French toast and breakfast, and I looked through at the door, and I looked, and I said, hold on. At first I thought it was like a clone or somebody just, Hollywood, but I said, that's Michael Jackson right there. And he came through the door with like Secret Service men. And I asked the waiter, and she had said, oh, he comes here all the time.
Wow.
And I said, what did he order? She said, like, I think he orders just French toast a lot. And I was like, and that's what I order. And that's what I order when I go to strawberry French toast. She said the same thing. She said he ordered the strawberry French toast, and because I asked one of the waitresses, I said, what does he order? She said he gets the French toast. And I was like, that was him. Like, he had his headphones in. The Secret Servicemen, 2 big Secret Servicemen with him, like the president type shit. Like, yeah, I was like, wow, Michael Jackson come to IHOP. And the lady said, he comes here all the time. Like, I was like, wow.
I went a little tidbit. I went to high school with Macaulay Culkin's older brother, right?
Oh, wow.
And he told me that, he said, Marc, when we go to see Michael on the weekend, he's like, dude, Michael is a gangster. He's like, we get disguised and go to Tower Records and get all the new hip hop. And me and Michael have beers and fucking just listen to all the new rap. He's like, right now, he's like, at that time, he's like, I said, what is he listening to now? He's like, right now, he's listening to Brand Nubian. I'm like, oh, shit.
Wow.
Like, no bullshit. I was in high school. I went to professional children's school. That's that was a school in New York where like all the superstar kids that were already famous went to, like Macaulay Culkin, Tara Reid, Donald Faison, Sarah Michelle Gellar, Melissa Joan Hart, Macaulay Culkin was in my lunchroom every day. All the Dash Mihawk. Like Robert De Niro went there when he was a kid, right?
Wow.
I don't even know how the fuck I got in. I tripped. I got in there lucky, and my mom said, "Look, because I was working with KRS-One on Radio Song Remix for REM.
Okay.
Back in the days with my first producer. And I was coming home late and missing school. So my mother said, you got to get into a school that lets you do this shit. So she found the school. But I wasn't famous. I was just working on records. I had to audition. And I rapped. And they were like, well, you've never had a rapper. You're in. And the first day I walk into school and everybody's famous on my, like, you know, when you're a kid and you like watching the TV before you go to school, like the lunch, like you're like the commercials, and you see the kids doing like Mikey commercials. All those niggas was in my school.
Wow.
They were all in the lunchroom. Like, I'm like, wow. But they all those superstar kids were all fans of rap. Like they loved hip hop, and they were like, they loved me because I was like a rapper in the school where everybody was going to Juilliard or doing movies. But he said, yeah, he told me Michael Jackson's a G. Like he smokes cigarettes, drink beer, like listens to hip hop. They get the skies every Friday. No bullshit. I believe it. I believe Michael Jackson's a real dude.
Yeah. No, I've heard stories.
They said,
yeah.
I was hearing like one time, like somebody was giving him some beats, and it was like he said something like he wanted a beat, but I think it was like it was a Neptune beat or something, and he was like, give him the beat that he wanted, the one that was, what was that one, like it was what, that one that Noriega liked, he wanted that beat. The one he
wanted more the Nori type shit, right?
Right. He's like, nah, give me one of the ones like you know, he was so up on what was going on.
Yeah.
You know, they probably thought he wanted like a top 40 beat, but he wanted like something grimy.
That's crazy.
Mark, I wanted to ask you this.
You never know about people.
No, you never knew. You never know.
No, he's asking me, what'd you say?
Mark, I wanted to know. Kool Keith, he's an amazing personality. He's interesting. Like I said, top 10, no doubt about it. A genius at what he does. 58 alter egos. Have you thought about potentially getting him a TV show? Because I've seen him on Vice do crazy stuff, and you know, I think he needs to be in the field of television as well. What do you think would be best suited for him?
Let me tell you something. It's funny you said that. Like I told you, like the guy that I wrote Ice Loves Coco with, right? Mm-hmm. We've been trying to get Keith a TV show forever. Like, we've been trying to pitch certain things in the shadows. I don't talk to Keith about it, but because it's got to be right. But I think, like, you know, I think Keith needs like a real dope, like he needs a documentary like Kanye, like an introspective of his life, like from the beginning, and then it just will butt into all the influence, like all the groups that he birthed from his style, like. That's really the story, right? It's not so much the record sales and all that, the normal shit, but it's like if you take Keith out of history, hip hop does not progress. No. Hip hop stays probably like hip hop, like Brooklyn kids. Like, I don't think without Ultramagnetic, the style of rapping and the innovation, you might have like a Brooklyn kids rap might have not got to 50 years old. No. So I think that's what makes these guys like, you know, like makes the whole thing like incredible. And
like from what I added on from, you know, from Octagon and stuff like that, it's never been as much. Like if you pull a lot of that work out, like I don't even care. I don't think really a lot of groups that couldn't fill up the space of what we put into it.
Yeah.
No.
Like, I'll tell you a quick story. I'll tell you a really good story. It was the day O.J. Simpson was being chased in front of the world.
Okay, the same games that the Knicks and the Houston.
D&D. Yeah, we was in New York. We was in D&D. Keith was recording, and House of Pain came in, Everlast. And it was like, oh shit, Keith, you gotta come with us to our whole. We got a big show at the Palladium tonight. We headline. You gotta come out with us. You gotta, yo. So we go back to their hotel. They got a big suite. House of Pain is the hottest group in the world right now. And we watching, all of us, Everlast, Lethal, Keith. We're in the hotel room watching OJ live being chased. 1995. I'll never forget it. And then that night, they took us to the Palladium, House of Pain, and I was backstage, and I was standing next to Everlast, and he said, yo, man, that guy Keith, man, if it wasn't for him, I never would be the rapper I was. Like, he inspired all of us. Fucking House of Pain, Cypress Hill. Like, yo, without Keith, there's no us. I was like, wow. Mm-hmm. And then they brought him on stage, during the last song, gave Shoulders Love, and I met a girl that night. It was like, I love House of Pain. Like, yeah, like, that really showed me, like, wow, like Keith said, you have a lot of jealousy in rap, but the people that acknowledge them, like, they acknowledge them. And those are mostly the guys that do, like the Eminems of the world and that give homage, are the most successful,
I agree.
Right. It's probably more of it's more of the like you said, Mark said, like the rock groups pay more homage than more of the rappers.
Wow, yeah.
Or more of the rock kind of groups, like the Eminems, the House of Pain, the Cypress. I think in the urban world, I think a lot of groups feel like they can snatch something from you and not acknowledge you, or steal most of what you do and go in front of Deborah Lee on BET and just lie directly to the public. You know what I'm saying?
And Keith, I think there needs to be a point where that you do get inducted into the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. I don't want to hear what Gene Simmons has to say. Couldn't care less. Hip hop belongs in the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame, and you could still be a rock star and not make rock music. And Kool Keith, you are the embodiment of that, and just everything that you've done, you belong in there. Someone needs to get him inducted.
I went to, doing the Warped Tour, so many bands knew who I was. All kinds of bands, underground bands, commercial bands, crossover bands. Marc can tell you, and they. Crazy. I went, a lot of rock acknowledged me more than rap does.
Wow.
For a whole nother genre. Like you said, we was the outcast. Like Marc knows, we was the outcast. So I think people liked us and they was jealous of us at the same time, because we did a lot of accomplishing things, as a group. And we didn't really depend on a lot of groups had to combine together and form Voltron. We never did that. We didn't have to do groups together, and, we didn't have to do a lot of stuff. A lot of people had to do a lot of, what I'm saying? What I mean, like, a lot of groups had to combine together, like become one and do an album together and hang together. We didn't do all that. We didn't hang together. We wasn't clicked up to stay with we never had nobody to be together with.
Marc, I wanted to touch on this with you. I wanted to touch on this with Marc too, because he's here. Welcome to my world. I brought it up earlier. 50 Cent. I want to know about the collaboration with you and 50, because this was right around the Get Rich or Die Trying.
Yeah, what happened with that was a friend of mine, Omar Keith, was that I put on. I don't know if you heard of the group Sarah.
Sorry.
And he's a producer. He produced like Frank Ocean and Anderson .Paak. He was one of my younger proteges that, you know, me and Keith took care of when he was young. And he started working with Jam Master Jay. And that people don't know, my group Raw Breed, Jam Master Jay was my first manager.
Wow.
Before he managed my group Raw Breed before when we got our deal. So, you know, I was over there with Omos and with Jam Master Jay, with a young 50 Cent. And, you know, we had the track, and Omos said, yo, I'm going to put 50 Cent on this track. I got a verse. And he did the verse, and, you know, it was like, I had the verse for a long time, and then I didn't think they would let me use it, but they cleared it. And, you know, he even put it on This Is 50. So I was like, wow, but I never was able to like do a collaboration or like get him to do a video or whatever. But, you know, it was just a weird thing that I was in the right place at the right time and got the verse.
And it worked out, and This Is 50, like you said, he put it in that.
Yeah, he cleared it. So it was like, it was one of those things where, you know, I think it was like, probably it was when he was in between deals, like, you know, probably around the time where he was trying to get out of the Columbia deal, and he was it was when he was doing all the mixtapes. So he was doing verses for people, you know, and I got lucky.
Yeah, it's definitely a story.
Lucky.
Yeah, and the record will always be there. It's a part of history.